Hello, Carl here with Sustainability Theory News. We're over at thehiphomestead.com. And we're going to be going to a couple of different sites today, going over guides on how to grow goji berries. It's a tree slash shrub. It's very prunable and manageable, so you can manage it to a lower size, or it can grow up to an understory tree around 15 feet, 7 meters tall or so. Now, you look at the growth pattern. This is the goji berry tree here. It kind of is crazy, like a willow almost. In fact, these branches that are touching the ground, you see these leaf tips that are touching the ground, those will sprout whole new trees. It is part of the tomato family. And like most tomato plants, it is incredibly easy to propagate with cuttings. No root hormone necessary. Ironically, willows are the same way. Now let's go to the site. And these are what the berries look like. They come in late summer usually and into the fall. You harvest them by, you can just put like a tarp or a blanket underneath it and shake, and the ripe berries will fall right off. And then more berries will come. They don't all ripen necessarily at the same time, so you may have to do that a couple times a year. Now they are very drought tolerant, but that's after, say, the first year. A lot of people like to grow goji berries in containers for a year and then transplant them out. Some people say transplant them out at about 6 inches tall. Hardiness zone 4 to 8. I've seen that number as low as 2 and as high as 9. There's kind of debate on what is the true hardiness zone. Lycium barbarum is the consensus choice on the best variety of goji berry, most productive and most resilient. Pretty easy to grow. They do thrive in hot sun. They say if it goes over 100 degrees, you're going to want to find some afternoon shade. But other than that, it can really handle it. In fact, you do want full sun. The leaves are very susceptible to powdery mildew. And they're also very susceptible to aphids as far as insects go. But if you can control for those factors, that's great. So in the picture I showed at the beginning here, they have drip irrigation. It's perfect. It doesn't get any water on the foliage. Alright, so let's go down here, see if they talk about edible landscape. In permaculture, it is most commonly used as an understory tree, but you don't want, it might be actually the tallest tree because you do need full sun for it. So maybe the tallest tree in the guild, and then maybe some blueberry bushes around it, although blueberries prefer more acidic soil. In this, they say about 6.8 is the lowest or most acidic that you want to get, but it is resilient in many different types of soil. It does talk about pruning it after the berries come in, before the fall comes. Prune it back. It'll grow back. You can maybe pick one runner, one main stem for it to grow from, or you can get yourself a trellis, and grow it like a vine, like a grapevine. Some people do it like that, like tomato plants. A lot of people use cages. And then it talks about some recipes. A lot of people like to dry the berries like a raisin, dehydrate it. Head over to temperate climate permaculture, and all the links will be in the description. They talk about, there's two different breeds here, two different varieties, but there's actually a lot more in the Lycium family that grow these berries, but the barbarum seems to be the best one. Alright, let's see if this one has any other different information. Fairly wind and salt tolerant. So if you're near the sea or near a lake or a prairie where there's lots of wind, this could be very helpful for you. And it is incredibly healthy. Recently ranked #1 in the ORAC scale, which is about antioxidants, basically. It is one of the highest antioxidant compounds ever measured. Now, they do warn about side effects. If you're on, I don't know, what's that pronounced? Coumadin. It is for blood thinning, or it can make, I think it's for blood thinning, but anyway, it helps, when you take it with goji berries, it makes your blood more thin, increases your risk of bleeding. So you may want to avoid it if you're on that medication. They're good to eat fresh. A lot of people say they're better dried, though. They concentrate the flavor more. When they're fresh eating, it's been described as a sweet tomato, but not as flavorful as some tomatoes, but a slightly sweeter tomato. Using in jellies and teas, flavoring for wine and beer. You can also eat the young shoots, the leaves, but you want to cook them. There is some reports that if you eat the uncooked plant material, it can lead to some stomach pain. Here's the flower. Here it is in a young pot. Again, look, they say USDA hardiness zone 6 to 9, but some sources say 2 to 7. And again, I've seen it 2 to 9, 2 to 8. It's hard to tell. You might just have to see if there's a local nursery that are selling this, because these plants, because they're so easy to clone, they're often sold as small potted plants. And we'll go to a site in a little bit. It's all about growing it in a potted plant, where they do recommend watering it every day, but not the leaves. Just water the root base. Yeah, more concerns. Yeah, we talked about the stomach upset. Maintenance. Yeah, you just need to prune back to prevent the plant from spreading. Or just let it grow and it can become a hedge. We're at groworganic.com now. And I included these because they each had some unique information. I might have already talked about it though. In the ground, you can place the plant in the ground after about 6 to 8 inches of growth. They do say they love to start it in a container. That seems to be the consensus. However, you don't have to grow from cutting necessarily, because from my research, they are true to seed. If you get the seeds of one variety, it will produce berries of a similar size and flavor. If you guys have different information, because there's a lot of information up in the air about this plant and growing it, please leave it in the comments below for everyone to enjoy. You can buy bare root plants and healing them in, you get them shipped in, put them in a nice cold, somewhat wet place, like a basement, and keep the roots wet, but don't let it freeze, don't let it get too warm. It talks about adjusting the soil. If you're below 6.8, then it's too acidic. You got to bring that up a little bit. Add some oyster shell, some lime. Then if it's too basic, too alkaline, add some sulfur, help lower it. All right, last page. We're at, plantophiles.com. A lot of indoor plant growing guide on it. So it is great to grow in a container. The roots don't get too bound up, but they say about 2 or 3 years you need to get into another container. I forget which site it was. It talks about, one of these pages talked about how often it grows, or how long it takes to make berries. Yeah, lifespan. It starts making berries around the 2nd, 3rd year, but around years 4 and 5, it really starts pumping those berries out. They don't have very much good information on how long the plants last, but again, it'll spread so easily that there will be a new generation of plants to take up once the old generation dies off. All right, so back to plantophiles.com. Talks about the soil again. You don't want it to be, they say 6.5 to 7.0. Anything above 8.1 is too acidic. That's a mistake. I do believe, everything above 7 is alkaline or basic. Everything below 7 is acidic. But that range from the research does seem right. 6.5 to about 8.1. And the soil needs to drain properly. They love loam and sandy loams. Luckily, I have a lot of that on my property, and I bought some Lycium barbarum seeds from Eden Brothers. If you're looking for seeds, Eden Brothers. Now, I haven't tried them out yet, but they have decent prices and good ratings. They're also, if you're looking to farm them for profit, a very profitable crop. I think a kilogram, you can produce something like 3,000 kilograms per acre of these bushes planted after they're in full production. And you can sell dehydrated a kilogram for, I think per pound dehydrated, it's about $15. So 1 kilogram of wet berries will probably create half a pound, a little less, probably. Dry berries, not bad at all. All right, so it does talk about full sunlight. They can be susceptible to powdery mildew and scale and other fungal diseases that can attack the leaves. Now, they talk about watering it every day, but it is incredibly drought tolerant. So probably will get away with it. If you notice yellowing or purpling leaves, it's a sign of stress. Give them some more water. Check for bugs, check for any other signs of disease, or maybe they're not getting enough sunlight. Talks about the temperature. It's pretty wide range, pretty hard to kill them. But you don't need a whole lot of humidity. They do well in desert environments because of that. And again, because the leaves are so susceptible to molds, fungus, and whatnot. Powdery mildew, I think a good way to attack it is they have soap sprays, hydrogen peroxide, spraying with milk and water. You can have iron supplements. Activovade, I think, is the name of one that has a natural. It adds a lot of iron to the plant, so it can prevent the powdery mildew from really becoming a problem. Also talks about fertilizing requirements. They do well when given some fertilizer, just don't overdo it. Yeah, they don't need a whole lot of fertilizer, but just check if they're not growing very fast, they're not producing berries in their second or third year, they're going to need some more fertilizer. And we already talked a bit about the pruning and how you should pot them up at first. Provide them with enough water at the root base, not at the leaves. They talk again about propagation through stem cuttings. I don't need notifications there. Talks about handling pests. They have an article on aphid removal. I have not read it yet, but I just put that on my list of things to check out. I may make a video on it if it's good. All right, other plant problems, black soot on leaves, like scale, not bearing fruit. They talk about, hey, we might need to get some fertilizer going. Yellowing foliage, purple foliage, we talked about that. And tips for happy goji berry. Routine pruning. Don't wait too long. Transfer to a larger pot. Yeah, plant in a spot that gets full sunlight. And the soil needs to be light, friable, as much organic matter as possible. That's always good. They talk about watering every day. Again, I think that's mostly in containers, not necessarily in the ground. Again, all these pages, the links will be in the description. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. If you have any comments or suggestions for the viewers of this video on how to grow goji berries in their environment, other plants that grow well with them in a permaculture environment, please leave it in the comments below. Have a great day.